Hello, my friends. Thank you for tuning in to another Nerdy-Nawg-Dawg Productions. This is Chapter 3, Study Guide, Part 1. Okay, Math in Focus likes to trick you. They like you to use your critical thinking power to really decipher and determine what operation you should be using for these word problems. One example might be when asked, how many times can 8 be subtracted from 7,218? Again, they throw in the word subtracted. In this case, they're not necessarily looking for you to subtract. However, we can think of division as subtraction. So if I were to say I had this little box here and it's filled with fidget spinners, a teacher's bane, fidget spinners. And if I wanted to then take out those fidget spinners in groups of 8. So now I'm going to subtract 8 of them. There's 8. Okay, and then I'm going to subtract another 8. And then I'm going to pull out some more and subtract another 8. All of a sudden, I am grouping these in to sections of 8. So am I subtracting them from the whole? Yes, but we can think of this as dividing from the whole. So how many times can 7,218 be divided by 8 or into groups of 8? Okay, so it is actually a long division problem and should be set up like such and solved from there. Another question or something you might see is this is actually algebra, people. So anytime we use a symbol or to replace a digit, it is algebraic in nature. In this question it says 477 times 3 equals, and it wants us to identify what this symbol here represents. Okay, so what does that represent? Well, this symbol actually represents 477. So in this case, we would be doing 477 plus 477 plus 477, which is the same as 477 times 3. They want you to identify that multiplication is the same thing as repeated addition. So if we had 477 times 81, we would not use repeated addition to show for that because we'd be doing that 81 times. Okay? But they do want you thinking about it in different ways. Okay, so here is a word problem very similar to what we will be seeing on the test. Ruby has some Hershey Kisses. Her sister, whom she loves, her older sister, has half as many as she does. They have 126 Hershey Kisses altogether. How many does Ruby have? Well, in class, we've been doing this with some bar modeling because I think it gives a really excellent visualization. So what we would do is we'd start with Ruby, and I'm going to identify Ruby by an R. Her sister, we'll write down sister. So in this case, I like to draw 2 separate bar models to represent each person. So we know that Ruby has some Hershey Kisses. We don't know how many, okay? However, it reads that her sister has half as many as she does. So I can automatically start by drawing her sister's half the size of Ruby's. And then it says that they have 126 Hershey Kisses altogether. So I know that Ruby's big amount and her sister's half amount altogether would equal 126. We don't know what each of them has. However, we know if her sister has half, then Ruby has 1 piece and the other half making a whole. So altogether we can see that they have 3 pieces. Now from there, our goal is to identify or isolate the value of one piece. Because once we know the total of one piece, we can solve for the total amount, or how much in this case Ruby has. Okay, so what should we do here, people? We've got one piece. I'm going to put 1, 2 pieces, and 3 pieces all together that total 126. This is a division problem. If we do 126 and we divide it by the 3 pieces, then we can solve for the value of one piece. Okay, so we're dividing the 126 total by 3. 3 doesn't go into 1, right, people? So we are going to put our space holder there, 0. Will 3 then go into 12? Yes, sir, it will. 4 times. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 minus 12 gives me 0. Does 3 go into 0? Why? No, Miss Nawg-Dave, it doesn't, but I can bring down that 6. Does 3 go into 6? Yes, ma'am, it does. 2 times. 2 times 3 gives me 6. That, when we subtract, is 0. And then we know that there are 42 pieces in each of these little squares here. Okay, so how much does sister have? Well, the sister has 42. How much does Ruby have? Ruby has 42 plus 42. Okay, or 84 total Hershey Kisses. And again, on your answer, I would expect you to write at least, doesn't have to be a complete sentence, but a clearly identifiable answer there. Okay, Ruby has 84